Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Texas. Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you for your leadership and for inspiring so many millions of Americans, especially young women and girls, to reach for their dreams. And thank you for just being awesome. To Chairman Hinojosa, Bexar County Chairman Medina, who is hosting us, to Crystal Perkins, our distinguished state and local elected officials, and to all of you, my fellow Texas Democrats, bienvenidos a San Antonio. Welcome to San Antonio. I'm glad to be here tonight with the loudest, fiercest, proudest, hardest working, most resourceful, most determined Democrats in the entire United States of America. I want to give a special shout out to my brother, Joaquin, who's chairing this convention, and also to my mother, Rosie, and my father, Jesse, who are here tonight. 7.5 years ago, a young president took the oath of office. At the time, our economy was in a tailspin. We were losing more than 700,000 jobs a month. The unemployment rate was skyrocketing. On TV news and on the internet, folks were talking about the possibility of another Great Depression. It was the worst economic crisis our nation had faced in 3/4 of a century. Then our president rolled up his sleeves and got to work, and he led a turnaround. 75 straight months of private sector job growth, more than 14 million new jobs created, the longest streak of private sector job growth in the nation's history. Thank you, Barack Obama. Thanks to his leadership, we'll never go back to the days when a family could go bankrupt because their child got sick. We'll never go back to the days when being a woman was considered a pre-existing condition. We'll never go back to the days of defining marriage as anything except a loving relationship between two people who love each other. And we'll never go back to the days when Wall Street got to write its own rules and reward its own failure. Thanks to President Obama, America is poised for the future. So I don't care what our Republican friends on the other side of the aisle say, Barack Obama will go down as one of our nation's finest presidents. Tonight, I'm excited to speak in support of a woman who will make our future even brighter. I commend Senator Bernie Sanders for the wonderful, powerful, important voice that he brought to this campaign. In March, Texas Democrats voted to make Hillary Clinton the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party and the next president of the United States of America. In the best tradition of public service, Hillary has dedicated her life to fighting for fairness. As a young woman out of law school, Hillary could have gone to work at a high-powered firm in New York or LA, but she decided to go to work at the Children's Defense Fund to make sure kids with disabilities were enrolled in school. She went undercover in Alabama to expose segregation that still existed in public academies. And she drove all the way to South Texas to register Latinos to vote for the first time. She certainly didn't do any of these things because she thought that she might run for president one day. She did it because helping people in need was what she wanted to do. That's what she did as First Lady when she helped create the Children's Health Insurance Program. It's why she voted against the Central American Free Trade Agreement in the Senate when she believed that it just wouldn't work for working families. And it's why she worked so hard to reestablish American leadership around the world as President Obama's Secretary of State. Now, even though we've made tremendous progress in this country, you and I still know that we have plenty of unfinished business ahead of us. We need to renew the blueprint for opportunity that helped generations of American families not just get by, but also get ahead and stay ahead. We need to restore the promise that drew generations of immigrants to our shores, folks who came to America dreaming of a better life for their children. Immigrants like my grandmother, who left her home in Mexico as a young girl, an orphan, and came to live with family right here in San Antonio. She lived the immigrant experience, working her whole life as a maid, a cook, and a babysitter, so she could provide my mother a better life than she had. And it worked. My mother was able to give my brother and me a better life too. We grew up in the public schools on the west side of San Antonio. We did well in class. Yet, when it came time for us to go to college, it was tough. I remember being 17 years old in the spring of 1992, and Joaquin and I running out to the mailbox one day and getting packets from Stanford University. We ran back into the house and opened up the packets, and they said we'd gotten into college. I remember the look on my grandmother's face. She never dreamt that that kind of opportunity would be possible. All of us were so happy. And then a couple of weeks later, we got the bill. And that wasn't such a happy day. At the time, the university cost more than $27,000 per person per year. And the year before, when we applied, my mother had earned about $19,000 or $20,000, and my grandmother was getting a few $100s a month in a Social Security check. So there was no way that these women who had worked hard their entire lives could afford that great opportunity for us. I'm able to stand before you today blessed with the education that I have because I worked hard and my family worked hard, but also because there were Pell Grants and Perkins loans and Stafford loans and federal work study. I'm here because you invested in me. America invested in me. My family's story, the strand that connects a young girl in Mexico to the grandson who'd one day serve as the mayor of the community that took her in, may be unique to me, but it speaks to who we are as a nation. As Democrats, we get that. We know that when you invest in opportunity, you create prosperity. When you include those who have been excluded, you make the greatest difference. And when you stand up for what's right, you knock down injustice. When thousands of veterans returned from World War II, Roosevelt's GI Bill helped them get a higher education and reach the middle class. Our fellow Texan, Lyndon Johnson, spearheaded Medicare and Medicaid so that the elderly, the disabled, and the poor could have access to good health care. And because of President Barack Obama, more than 20 million Americans have health insurance for the first time. I still believe that the American dream is not a sprint or even a marathon, but a relay. The baton of opportunity we hand off to our children and grandchildren begins with caring enough about each other and our nation to work together to build a stronger America. That hard work and dedication is what's made the American dream possible. And the thing is, we need that now more than ever. You see, this isn't just about the past, it's about the future. We live in a 21st century in which America is competing for jobs and investment like never before, a time when rising nations around the world are producing tons of young people with the intelligence and drive to innovate and create the companies and products that will define prosperity in the decades to come. A world in which brain power is the new currency of success. To compete in this world, in this 21st century, we don't have a single person to waste. We need everyone's God-given talent to succeed. And we need to put the American dream within reach of everyone who's willing to work for it. And yet, seldom before has the promise of the American dream been under greater threat than it is in this election. We're facing a Republican nominee who claims to want to, quote, make America great again by violating all the principles that made America great in the first place. A good president unites Americans to make progress together. But Donald Trump has spent the last year trying to divide us for his own political gain. He believes that an American-born judge can't do his job because of his Mexican heritage. He wants to ban Muslims from entering the country. He's insulted women, mocked the disabled, scoffed at POWs. A good commander-in-chief strengthens our alliances to promote peace around the world. Donald Trump says he would drop NATO and let more nations get nuclear weapons. A good public servant serves the people, not himself. Donald Trump has already used his stature as a presumptive Republican nominee to try to intimidate the judge hearing a lawsuit against his private business. A decent human being empathizes with others in moments like those of June 12th, when we lost 49 Americans to a cowardly act of terror and hate. That morning, as news broke of what happened in Orlando, Donald didn't offer empathy or comfort. Appreciate the congrats on being right on radical Islamic terrorism, he tweeted. He showed us once again that the only person Donald Trump really cares about is Donald Trump. So this much is clear. He's not even behaving like a decent human being, much less a good public servant. He's temperamentally unfit to be commander-in-chief, and Donald Trump will never be president of the United States of America. The good news is that you can do something about it. Now, I'm a proud Texan. I think this is the greatest state in the union. But here in Texas, you've had a front row seat to how bad Republican policies and the short-sighted politicians who pursue them can limit the dreams of so many. So many millions of poor Texans who still don't have health insurance because Greg Abbott won't expand Medicaid. So many students falling through the cracks in our public education system. A lieutenant governor who foments hate in order to get elected. First it was immigrants, now it's transgender Texans. And when they're not busy bungling policy, they're misusing taxpayer money, or even worse, an attorney general under multiple indictments, an ag commissioner who doesn't mind spending your money for his own leisure, one state official after another giving sweetheart deals to their cronies. This is what happens when a party doesn't believe in government in the first place, but has absolute power over the people for decades. You know, they used to brag that Texas was doing so much better than big, bad, liberal California. But Texas Republicans managed to bungle that too. Because today, California is kicking our butt in job creation and economic growth. Thank you, Greg Abbott. Maybe we should, as Joaquin says, trade him for Governor Jerry Brown. I'm sure we'd get more effective leadership. So, I know a lot of folks here tonight have been at this for a long time. And I bet sometimes you get to asking yourself, why in the world am I still doing this? You know, when you get the 10,000th email asking you for money at 10 minutes to midnight on the 15th or the 30th, you get another call asking you to go phone bank, or you get defriended on Facebook or blocked on Twitter for being too political. When you've sunk to the low of Instagramming pictures of campaign office food, or you know, when you go block walking and you knock on the door and through the corner of your eye you see the blinds move. You know they're there and they know you're there, but nobody's answering the door. At those times, remember why we're here. We're here because we believe in opportunity for all and exclusion of none. We're here because we believe that God has vested in every child the potential to do amazing things, and we want to help make those things possible. We're here because we know that, as President Obama has said, people around the world don't look first to Moscow or to Beijing for leadership. They look to the United States of America. We're here because we know that America is already the greatest nation on earth, and we want to keep it that way and make it even better. No walls, no bans, no religious litmus test, and no President Donald Trump. One morning a few years ago, Eric and I were getting ready for school with our daughter, Karina. One of those morning shows was on in the background, and some footage of President Obama came on TV. Now, y'all know that I'm so proud of President Obama, as you can probably tell. And so I blurted out, "Look, Karina, it's the president. You can be president one day." And she said right away, "That's for boys." Now, I shook my head and I said, "No, you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be an engineer, a teacher, you can be anything you want to be, and you can be the president too." Now, Karina isn't the only child who's ever thought that. And that's because even though women in America have come a long way, we've still never had a woman in the Oval Office. And it matters. It's a milestone for all of us who care about our little girls, who want them to believe that they can be anything they want to be, even President of the United States. Hillary Clinton has worked for decades to improve the lives of children and of families. She knows the struggles of balancing work and family. She understands the panic when your kid is sick or your child care falls through. She sat down at kitchen tables with women all over the world, listening to their stories and learning about their lives. Hillary has a passion for helping families succeed, and she knows how to get the job done. So, I look forward to being with Karina on election night in November. We'll be here in Texas watching as the polls close and the results come in on all the networks, seeing the red states and the blue states, on CNN and ABC, CBS and NBC, MSNBC, Univision, and Telemundo. But I really can't wait for the moment on Fox News when Karl Rove goes berserk, when they tell him, "Karl, we're calling the 38 electoral votes of the great state of Texas for the Democratic nominee and next President of the United States, Hillary Rodham Clinton. We're counting on you." Keep working. Keep fighting. Thank you, Texas. God bless you. Thank you.